Okay. Number 18.
Number 18.
Living Cashway.
Kashui.
Kashui is back for another hour of nonsense.
55 minutes.
Thank you.
53s, you know. You don't have to spend a whole hour listening to us.
You don't.
Yeah. It's like the MLM gimmicks. Only 53 minutes a day. You get
you
cashes.
Change your life.
You get the cashes.
You can change your life you can keep your life worse, better, the same, or worse. What do you want it?
Which one do you guys want?
Hey guys, actually, we are on YouTube. I didn't really promote it yesterday because it was my first go at it, but we did post yesterday's. And today, we're doing it again. And if you want to come find us, I think it's on Living Cash. Well, the channel is Living Cashway. I'll have to go double check and make sure that it's all set up right and whatever not. But, yeah. I don't know. Living Cashway has been hard for me to put out into the world, I think. It's been more, I don't know. I go through mixed emotions. Liberating and then also scared and then, I don't know. It's been a challenge.
It is interesting because we've kept our...
Turn to me.
Let me turn a little bit. That way I can chat. We've kept our faces shut for 12
Eyes,
years.
Ears, and mouths.
Yeah. We've kind of, leaving our beliefs and everything like that. And yeah, we've said things throughout the times, throughout the day. We've had little conversations here or there, but
yeah,
nothing in depth, nothing deep. And like I've said before, nobody owes me to question a question or to ask me why or to sit down and have a conversation with me. And so this is our way of expressing ourselves and talking about our feelings and putting them out there, because I know that there's a lot of people that go through leaving things in their lives that aren't so much necessarily easy, or that it's a big part of their life and they have to make a huge life change or transition.
Yeah.
And so it's been an interesting transition because I don't feel like I owe anybody anything, and if they don't want to listen to it, please don't listen to it. But this is my truth. This is how I view life. These are our opinions, and that's the thing is, and it's just been interesting because this is us being really loud, and
for the first time.
and not being in anybody's face about it, but
also being in everybody's face,
but also being really loud about it. And I don't know who listens. I don't have a clue.
It doesn't tell us who listens. It just tells us the numbers, which are surprisingly higher than I would have anticipated.
We've got a following of about 80. We have an audience of 80 right now. We're over 1,300 listens.
Yeah.
So, and that's what 1,300 hours that people have
invested in us.
Listen to our voices.
And I think that's what's been hard is I just feel like, I don't know. Like I was telling you, I feel like I'm probably more a Comedy Central type gal, and my circle is probably a little bit more TLC.
Well, and it's tough because we're such cynical assholes. Mm-hmm.
But I'm a nice cynical asshole.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's where I think it's just hard is because I am cynical and I may doubt everything, but that's just my own internal thoughts that I tell you. It doesn't make me not like anybody, or it doesn't make me, here's the truth.
Discredit.
I say that a lot. Here's the truth. When I left a religion that I feel like was a complete fraud or a complete lie, like all of it.
Yeah.
I guess it just really changed me into questioning everything then.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so I kind of just don't believe in anything. Not that I don't believe in anything, because that comment comes to my mind. If you don't believe in something, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yeah, well, it's
and
tough.
I look at all these people that are standing up for something and falling for a lot of big things that I think are silly.
It is. OTAP is
You almost made me lose my coffee.
OTAP is a very interesting way of living, and it's taken it takes so much to be able for me to be like, wow, I mean, we've let go of worldly beliefs, ideas of society, societal beliefs, religious beliefs, how we should raise our kid beliefs, what a kid should act like beliefs, how children should act out in public, or just everything, and letting go and kind of I have heard oftentimes in my life that I kind of walk to the beat of my own drum, and it's kind of true. I wouldn't have it any other way. I think of someone telling me how I should or shouldn't live, and that seems so controlling and so just like there's no way.
Yeah, well, like even like we were talking about with Paige and the softball stuff and all that kind of stuff, and I had told you it's so nice to hear that it's just so nice to hear when people believe in people and they for the first time being told, hey, dang, you got talent.
Yeah.
And that just kind of reminds me of that that sheep rug. I got that in
there we go.
Pie Town or something.
I like the butthole on it or whatever that.
What's the underbelly?
Oh, maybe so.
Yeah. But it just reminds me of that. Like, I feel like you're right. My whole life, I feel like I've been like, oh, she's so this. Oh, she's so that. Or, Allie, she's kind of crazy. And I feel like that's where it's been hard. It's been a lot easier for me to be silent in a lot of my years. And it's just been hard hearing all those kinds of things like, hey, you're at the beat of your own drum. And I feel like it comes with a negative undertone. And maybe I take it like that. I possibly do. But I don't know. And I've been emotional this week, so.
Well, what's interesting is I feel like I was put on this earth to be this, to be the light to my family, to be the light to people around me, to show them whether or not they think so or other people think so or whether it is or isn't. But at least I'm here to question the status quo, to say why. Yeah. Why do we do it like that? Well, that's how we've done it, or that's whatever.
And that's the other thing I find fascinating is that we come from a society that celebrates the why askers when it turns out for the betterment of man. But it's really difficult when you fight the system at the very beginning because you're going to have a lot of naysayers.
Yeah.
And not that I'm looking for a following by any means, but it's just hard putting myself out there in a way I've never done before. And like I was telling you this morning, I feel like this is a relapse of 2011 when we lost everything. And I had to make this decision, like, either people are going to think I'm a loser and I suck, but if they do think that, which people might, they obviously aren't my friends. They obviously don't love me, and they obviously don't know my capabilities. And why would I want to surround myself around those people? Yeah. And I feel like I'm kind of going through that again in another rebirth of like, hey, this is how I feel. This is my truth. This is what I found. And I'm very not an idiot. I'm very capable.
Yeah.
So, but yet putting myself out there for criticism again, and it's just has been hard.
And my whole life I've been told to stand up for what I know is right and stand up for the truth and stand up for all this stuff. And now, but it's only stand up for those when it's what the person or the entity that's telling me to stand up is what they think it is.
Yeah.
Because now that I'm standing up for the truth that I have found in this universe and in my life and in the eons of time here, nobody wants to hear it because doesn't coincide with what they want to be truth.
Yeah. And
I don't believe in a man. I don't believe in a man or a teaching because no man, no person, no teaching
has all of it.
No. And
everybody has different experiences, and that's why I love that, like, collectively we can get to a beautiful place because collectively we have all experienced so many different directions. Just like you're saying, not one man has the answers because that one's man experiences one side of one story. And then, I don't know. I'm not saying that this is right or wrong, but I'm just saying, like, there's people that have kept their babies instead of placing up for adoption, and the most beautiful life has been born from it. And they, it saved them from some areas in their lives that they didn't think they could get out of unless they kept this child and raised it and made them grow up. And and in my circumstance, I placed my baby up in adoption, and that was beautiful. Oh my goodness. And I cherish that. And I think it was so perfect, and it led me in the perfect path that I was looking for.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know, it's just hard when you're taught one way your whole life that this is the right way. And it's beautifully framed. There's beautiful videos with beautiful music and beautiful
there's tears and
and there's beautiful teachings, and it's about serving and giving, and I get it, and I agree with all those things, but it's wrapped up in really pretty wrapping paper, but underneath it all, it doesn't matter.
No,
that doesn't even matter, because it's like, it's good to be a good person, but it doesn't matter if you eat on Sunday. It doesn't matter if you're paying your tithe. It doesn't matter if you're going to this church house. It doesn't matter if you're showing there's too many things around just being a good person in religion.
Yeah, there's so many expectations.
Yeah, that it's like, just doesn't matter.
And then they say it's God. And then they want to say that God expects this of you, because obviously there's a prophet or there's a man that's speaking to God or speaking for God.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Bible is just so archaic, and people want to hang their hat on it, and it's like all they've done is been raised reading this book and being told that this is true.
Yeah.
2 + 2 = 4.
Yep.
Jesus walked on water.
Yep.
That's how it goes, and yet you go to a different corner of the world and it's taught entirely differently. It's only in this little corner of the world that it accepts it. But back to standing on our own feet, being and being confident in who I am and accepting myself and my choices.
And I feel like that's kind of where I am. I feel like this is kind of showing me, like, really, here I thought I was confident, and then putting myself here, I'm like, oh, are you really confident then?
Uh-huh.
Because now my buttons are getting pushed and stuff like that.
Do you think where anybody's like, for lack of like dirty little secret, like secretly listens to us?
Yes.
Like,
well,
they're
even
like, they're like secretly listening. Just
even was it your cousin? She's like, I listen on my earphones because I don't want to put it on speaker, and even that made me feel like, oh, I'm sorry, because
well, and it's not, I don't think we're vulgar. I mean, but we just talk about some dumb shit that, I mean, even people that openly talk that maybe God doesn't exist, or
and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what she meant. I guess in my mind I was thinking she was just at home and didn't want her husband to hear.
Yeah.
Maybe she's talking out in public, because there's a lot of podcasts I wouldn't put on, a speaker if I was listening to it in front of people. But it's just made me. And it's crazy though, and then I fight this battle of my history, of my
insecurities.
No, of my belief system. I battle that feeling like, well, if you're feeling insecure, then maybe because you're wrong. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you're feeling those feelings because you're not on the right path, and even those are damaging. And so it's just kind of like, but then I remember, I just start thinking like, well, when I wasn't loud, it was fine. When I was in my closet feeling this way, it was fine. But now that I'm putting it out in the world, I guess I just don't like offending people. I don't want people to think less of me. But then at the same time, this other part of me is like, but you don't even know me then.
Yeah.
You don't even know the real me then, and I have been giving you chocolate, Allie, but really inside I'm vanilla. Whatever.
Yeah. But also, it's so interesting because it's like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. And I can't say we talked about controversial things as far as just questioning.
I don't know.
Status
Yesterday's
quo.
noodle stabbing one. That's the thing, is I start thinking about it, like yesterday's noodle stabbing, and I'm thinking, I wonder who saw that and it's like, I would wish they would knock this off. I would, you know what I mean? I just feel like people probably are like, I wish they would just stop it. Or I heard some parents don't like their kids listening to it. Which, what's funny to me is because my kids don't listen to this. They have no desire to listen to my shit.
They listen to us all day long. They
already
know
are
all this
annoyed
shit.
with all my stuff. And the thing is, it's not like I'm sitting them down and telling them this stuff. This is just us openly talking. And then, I don't know. And then it's been a rough week. I think I'm just emotional, but.
I asked Paige yesterday. I asked her, I said, hey, curious, how often or do you ever look at porn on your phone or anything?
See, but you're better at those kind of conversations I am, because as much as we talk about it, I still kind of like, just don't tell me. Just don't tell
I'm like, she's like, no, I never do. Like, she's like, I'm always watching Friends or something.
She is.
There's way more interesting things than looking at porn.
She's definitely more
But I said, what do you think about Mac or Piper? She's like, no, they're always watching stupid videos and doing this and that. No, nobody looks at porn. I said, it's interesting because it's just come up in my space yesterday, and it was something that was like, it was like, man, that blew me away. That we don't presence it.
Yeah, but what's funny is because I feel like we talk about it a lot on our podcast because I feel like it was a big part of
it's
our
come
journey.
Up it has been in our journey.
We usually don't talk about it like this.
No.
Just with our podcast, we've just openly. I mean, I guess we do talk like this, but I just feel like it's so loud since we're on a podcast.
Yeah, but because a lot of it is so much fear around these children being exposed to it and them getting addicted, and it's like, here I have 3 children that have never been warned of the deathly perils of it and how damaging it is to families and how much it'll spiritually damage you and kill you and all this stuff. And here I have 3 children that haven't been taught like that have absolutely zero interest in it. Yeah. And it's like, and the reason why I know is because I have a very great relationship with my children. They do tell me the truth. Paige wouldn't be embarrassed to be like, oh yeah, I do whatever.
And if she didn't want to tell you, she'd be like, Dad.
Yeah. And it wasn't even close to that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so
it was like when we asked her if she had ever smoked weed before. And you can tell on her face.
Yeah, that's a
like, you know what I mean? Like, you could she just isn't, she's like, oh, how did you know that?
Yeah. And so it was a very casual conversation, but it was very open, and I was telling her that, about this, and she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, that's amazing to me, like that people are that much scared of it. And I'm like, yeah, it is interesting that people give it that much energy.
But here's the thing, and this is where, like, even last night, so I haven't been sleeping well because I've been getting anxiety about.
Did you stay up to masturbate?
I did. I was like, you know what? Just Tyler's sleeping. Perfect.
There we go.
I'm going to go in the other room now. And then I get in my head about, like, it's just at night usually when I'm about to try to go to sleep.
Ugh, that's miserable.
I know. And literally it's been 4 days. And so anyways, I just start thinking, like, I wonder if people think that I condone pornography. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't. It's not like I'm sitting here saying, hey, look at pornography. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, hey, don't be effing scared of a sex scene on TV.
Yeah, stop.
Don't be scared of, like, there used to be a time, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying when I grew up and anything remotely sexual that came on, it
was uncomfortable.
It was uncomfortable. It was quickly turned and whatever. So when we made this decision to not put a lot of energy on sex, it has taken me a few years, because we've been living like this since our kids have been babies and growing up. It's taken me a few years to not turn the channel. Sure. For me to be like, this is fine, or to cover their eyes. And I really have made an effort, as much as people might think that that's wrong, and I'm letting my kid be exposed. I'm not sitting them down and saying, hey, let's watch this porn together at 5.
What? There's no energy on it. Mm-hmm. It's not like Mac has to go back and watch it and watch the titties come out on the cop on that one.
On the
like it doesn't hold water. And that's crazy. And so this is here, and this is what my mind goes to now is like, so it's mindset. So once again, it's just like changing my beliefs about money and changing my beliefs about how I live, like
work. Yeah.
and changing and having positive affirmations, and once I start changing the way that I think about money, or the way I feel, or the way I think, naturally things surround me. I change my belief system. I start telling myself a different story. And that's what I see a lot going on, is they have this belief system, and then that they've been taught their whole entire life, this is bad, sick, and wrong. And now they've got this huge story built around it. So anytime they find it, it's just gasp worthy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's this huge therapy session, this massive, someone has to feel bad or ashamed, or
well, that's what I was even saying yesterday. It's like, it's so interesting, because I keep on talking about all this, but it's so interesting that we condone people go to therapists and to say all of their feelings and to let it all out, and to, to really talk about some deep, dark things that may be going on. But if we do it and we put it out to the world, it's like, whoa, calm down. We don't need to hear all of your dirty secrets. We don't need to hear any of that. But the truth is majority of people are paying to go talk about these exact things.
I know. Well, what's crazy is, and it's so interesting, because I like you were talking in the that one experience of talking about your mom talking about porn and disgusting, and how it just
oh yeah, in the car on the way,
and how, and there's certain circumstances in people's lives that they don't necessarily care, or they may have a different opinion about it, but because this person has an opinion, this person is like, they're not going to cross the wires. And so, like, trying to think of how to explain, because you could be sitting in a car with somebody and they could be talking about something that you completely don't agree with, but yet it's the belief of the masses that maybe your religion believes that, maybe someone believes that, but you don't, but you just kind of have to go along with it.
And someone could be sitting
in a car and be like, man, have you listened to Tyler Nally's podcast? It is absolutely deplorable. I cannot believe the things that they're talking about. And this person could love it, and this person could be talking about it, and it's like, oh yeah, I know, I just can't believe that. And not that they necessarily believe that way, but that's
exactly what I'm talking about right now, is because literally for the past 10 years, I'm not here to
ruffle feathers.
Yeah, I'm not here to question everything that everybody else says. I sit in the car and I listen to other people's opinions, and I say, okay, yeah, I can see how you think that, while not saying, yeah, I don't think it's bad at all. And I don't say
I've got a bloody tongue because I'm biting it so hard.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I say I don't know if this is liberating or making me feel anxious, because I just am like, these are my true feelings, but yet I feel like I'm surrounded in a very hushed environment. And so that's where it's been difficult for me, because I don't mean to ruffle feathers, but I also think people can benefit from our situations, because I don't think anybody talks about it.
Even if I am your dirty little secret.
Tyler, you want to be everybody's.
Make you my dirty little secret.
I don't know. I'm like, I don't know this song, but you brought it in.
Yeah, no, so it has been interesting. I don't know how it's being received by people, and nor do I care, because
people are listening.
Oh yeah, and it's fun to see how many people are like, hey, I've been listening to your podcast, and it's like,
yeah.
I
didn't think you would be listening.
I just didn't think. I had no idea, but it's interesting because once again, it's like, it's not my place. I know I've said this maybe on here. I've just told you it's not my place. Oh, I learned this on my mission to judge whether somebody will or won't get something from my message, and that there's thousands of millions of people in this world that have gone through a similar experience that we have, that have gone through different things, that have had drastic outcomes, good outcomes, similar outcomes, but maybe us opening up and sharing will allow somebody to keep a family together. Right. So maybe a wife is so distraught and disgusted over a porn right now, instead of and making bastardizing her husband for it, which I felt that, I get that. Mm-hmm. And then here we sit now where it's like, oh wow, I'm not you. And like we were talking yesterday, I get to love you for who you are. And you may disagree with it and stuff like that, but maybe take a look at why you're so offended by it. Maybe take a look at what's so offensive about it. And maybe it's insecurities, or maybe it's X or Y or Z, but maybe take some energy off of it and start to, I mean, but still, it's so hard because it's a belief, it's taught, it's a social, and everybody's doing it, but nobody's really saying they do it.
Well, and I think
it's a closet thing.
I know, I don't know. And that's the thing. It's just, yeah, it's just been a difficult week of thinking about, I'm not embarrassed and I'm not ashamed of who I am.
Nope.
But I also don't like to make other people feel uncomfortable, and that's not my game plan. My game plan isn't to change anybody, or this is for the people that get it. And like I said at the very beginning, if you don't like this probably isn't for you.
No, it's pretty simple.
And
it's just so, and I love, and you know what, we haven't had anybody say, hey, stop, you guys are offending everybody. You know what I mean? Everything's
but
been
I feel
positive.
like, yeah, I don't know, I'm waiting for it to come out. Because
well, I think that and that's interesting too, how you're anticipating maybe a storm, and you're making a lot of stuff up. You know what I mean? That rhetoric in the head.
Well,
is
and that's
just...
what I'm saying is just like at night, I'm just so scared because there's a few parts in my life that I feel like some engraving that I didn't know was there kind of manifested. One was, I remember we were in Utah on the mountain and we were talking about the priesthood or something like that. And just feeling that, and I wouldn't call myself a feminist by any means, but at the same sense, it was the first time that I realized that I had just as much power, because my religious journey or my spiritual journey has been a journey. Uh-huh. And at that point, I was really connected to, spirit and the source and whatever that is, the infinite beings of who we are and all of that stuff. And that was my first realization, like, I have just as much power as any man. God would talk to me as if any man would. There's Absolutely. No difference, and I felt like that was an engraving that I didn't know I had, and I saw it. And now this one is an engraving in me of like fully verbally taking a stance against something that I don't feel is right, and that's where, and I feel like, and I'm not being malicious about it. I'm not trying to be malicious about it. I just am saying, this is what I have found. There's numerous essays and articles and studies out there that have done this, that have studied religions and stuff like that. Yeah.
Now.
And so I don't know. And it's just not popular in my circle. It's not popular. That's all.
Well, no, and it is so interesting to be open, and to be, and that's the thing is like that, and that's what I find interesting about religious people, God people, Jesus people, that they're not. Some of them are, but a majority of them are not open to possibilities that maybe there isn't a God. And what's crazy is once I was okay with like maybe there isn't. Yeah. It doesn't mean that I don't have to worship him or can't worship him, or if I wanted to I can. But I'm okay. But because what if this life ends and there is absolutely nothing, and it's like wow, I lived my whole life and there's nothing here. And I've always taught my whole life that at the end of the day I will be the judge of myself. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and then I learned that if I don't accept myself here in this life and my actions and my choices, if I don't accept me here, how can I accept myself in the next life? Yeah. And if Jesus knows the intent of my heart, then my heart accepts me. And my heart knows that I came here and I was my contribution to this world. And like I said earlier, this podcast is for anybody and everybody who's experiencing life, and life is lifing, and it has nothing to do with anybody and everything to do with everybody, and it's just our contribution.
Yeah, well, and it's just our experience. And here's the truth for me. I have met a lot of people that have gone through very similar things as I do. And I just feel like, why not normalize it? Why not be able to handle, because I feel like society doesn't have, as much as people are forgiving and all this stuff, there's like no second chances a lot in, let's say, marriages, relationships, because I feel like that's a big part of our podcast. But
or that they're always on the rocks, even like it's like, you know, one more strike and I'm done. Or
sure,
you know,
well, and but I know there's a lot of different circumstances.
Sure.
I just feel like a lot of people go through affairs. A lot of people go through some really disgusting fights, physical fights even. We've been physical with each other before. You know, and as much as I'm like, yeah, well, and I can explain it away, like there's no black eyes or anything.
Sure.
There's no this is or that's. But at the end of the day, it's still unacceptable, you know, to be physical with each other or to push each other around, and that's the thing where it's like, I have grown through a lot of that. And I'm not trying to make it right, but I am also saying a lot of relationships I talk to go through very similar things, but nobody wants to talk about it. And if you stay like with me and you, now that I'm still with you, if I did talk about it, be like, oh, I would never. Yeah. If Mike ever touched me, I would never. And I understand, once again, everyone has different circumstances. But people, it's easy to paint a picture.
It is.
I can paint a great picture of you being aggressive to me, and you can paint a great picture of me being aggressive to you.
And then at the end of the day, we're both left with black eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
And so it's like, and so that's where, you know, be accountable, taking accountability for my actions and what my contributions were, and being aware that I'm not a victim. Right. And that I can't, we could play a victim card and be like, well, poor me.
Even like when we were talking about when we went through Impact. So there's a lot of different types of trainings at Impact, but one time I was in this training and I remember I just had this realization, because I know I've talked on here how I do have body image issues, and I take it really personal, and I know you think I'm disgusting, and you know, all of those things. And today I was just thinking about that I think I was even pregnant when I was at the training, but I just had this realization that, like, if I keep telling you that you think I'm disgusting, you eventually will think I'm disgusting.
Yeah, guess what you create.
Right. If I keep on saying, well, no, you really don't feel that way. I know you think they're prettier. I know you probably can't like me like this. And I kept on saying that and saying that and saying that eventually you probably would feel that way, because it's not very
pretty. You're trying to convince me of what you
of like, my inner turmoil. And I feel like right now, since I'm probably at my heaviest I've been in a long time, it takes a toll on me mentally, because I just feel like I hate myself. How could you not hate me? You know what I mean? But it's just interesting. Life is interesting that you can put yourself in those circumstances to convince other people to agree with your shitty mindset.
But yeah, you will absolutely create it. And if you persist with it, it will manifest its ugly little face. It'll rear it.
Yeah.
And to live life out of fear is just that it's exhausting.
It is exhausting. I mean, shit, look at me. I haven't slept in 4 days because I'm super scared of, I think, disappointing people that I don't mean to disappoint. I probably shouldn't talk about it. It's going to make me cry.
I see that.
But
no, it is hard.
Yeah.
And it is, and then once again, it's just standing on our own 2 feet. And people have already, I think that we've been through the disappointment. And
I just feel like I'm putting salt on the wound. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I know that I feel like I have a truckload of rock salt.
Yeah.
And I'm just dumping it on something that people would rather me leave alone.
Yeah.
Because,
right. Well, that's like I said this morning. It's like, I know that people would rather me be quiet. You know? And especially the people I love, you know?
I'm not trying to lead people away from the church, away from their beliefs. What my purpose of my life is for people to stand up and see how amazing they are and how great they are, and that they don't need that quite literally,
Right.
Religion is a false sense of the light. It is a false sense of what God truly is. You have people interpreting God and telling you what God means. When I have a direct connection with God, and I don't need a goddamn church or a fucking priesthood or a fucking prophet or a temple or a Catholic priest or any fucking buddy to tell me how to be a great person.
Yeah.
And if people can't figure that out, that's what I'm here for. Is to show you that I've been gone for 11 years and 12 years, and I'm happier than I've ever been.
Yeah.
Once I let go of sin, and once I let go of disappointing God and disappointing Jesus and disappointing everybody in my life, I'm so much more happy now that I don't have to question every thought. Right. Every little thing that I know we've talked before, but people want to say that there's sin, and it's like, yeah, what is it? Well, it's this, and this. Did you do any of those? Right. Well, you sinned. Or this is the biggest sin, or whatever. And it's like, it's all bullshit. If we're all sinners, then we're all perfect.
Right.
If we're all imperfect, then we're all perfect. So it's just, my purpose is not to lead people away from the church or lead people astray. My purpose is to show people how great they are, and that salvation is never taken away. Yeah. It cannot be. It is a gift that is given, and it doesn't matter how we choose to live life. We will learn the perfect lessons to take us to the perfect places in our life. Right. Because nobody has the power to take my happiness now.
Right.
But no.
Yeah.
It is absolutely scary to stand up and say, no, I'm not wrong.
Well, like I said, it's not like anybody's even saying anything to me.
No. Right. This is just a dialogue. This is just a dialogue.
It's literally just my head. Yeah. And I just am like, it's been difficult. It's been difficult for me to knock it, to like shake it off and be like, I don't even know if they're saying that. And I guess I could ask them, but I'm scared of the truth too. You know what I mean? And I'm scared that it's not going to be the truth, that it might be a sugar-coated bullshit answer anyways.
Yeah. But I know what is said. I've been there. I know that what people say is about lost people.
Yeah,
I have a cousin that got lost years and years ago, and I remember the rhetoric, and I've said it myself.
Yeah, I've been there, and how sad that they've fallen away from the truth and all of these things, and it just is, like I said, I just feel like it's been resurfacing. Granted, I've bbeen wanting to cry about a lot of stupid little videos I've been looking at lately. That's how I know I've been emotional or hormonal or something. But it's been a whirlwind of, like I said, putting my confidence really on the line.
And we're going 3 weeks now in this?
Yeah.
And if people don't know how we feel or who we are by now, or kind of
Well, and I think that's also what I'm saying, is because there's some people that, I'm not saying this is for children, I'm not saying that, but I know that there's some parents that have asked their kids not to listen to it, that I've heard, and these people I really like, and I hope that they as well. And that's what's so hard, is I've liked all of these people that have totally different stances than me for so long, and I've been okay with our differences because I don't say anything. Yeah. But that's the thing, is I've never said anything for the past 5 years I've known these.
And I don't like being assumed into thinking or being a part of a group that I'm not, or if I don't believe a certain way, that drives me up. Whoa. No, I don't think that way. Like, or when people, if I'm in a conversation with someone, they're like, well, when you do this, or when we feel like this, it's like this. I'm like, well, I don't feel like that. Well,
like, even I was talking to a friend of mine. He's like, well, it's not that you don't believe in God. It's like, not that I'm not saying you don't know. And he said it like 3 times. Well, it's still, you still believe in, God. And I'm like, maybe I don't believe in that. And it's like, what would be so wrong if I didn't? What would be so wrong if I didn't? And that's what's so aggravating, is because it's like, it is so wrong to not believe in God.
People it's easier for people to believe in a God than it is to believe in themselves.
I guess.
Because, man, throughout the last 11, 12 years, the more I've thought about it, the more the whatever, if God did create me, then I'm nothing other than that. and I can't be anything other than that. And so it's like, that's what all of us are. We're, like I said in the other, we're just we pull this little energy out of the universe, God, and we come down here and we play this little emotion of God, this game, which is a bigger game of energies. And that's my purpose. Holy shit, to think that we're like disconnected as humans, that we're not like that here.
Right.
We are.
Right.
But, I know that my nieces and nephews, this is so far out there. And it's so interesting because for my family, it works so well, and they don't really question it. Or like, I don't see my nieces and nephews on my side questioning a whole lot.
Well, maybe, I don't know, but I think that, like I said, I think the hard part is in my brain, the rhetoric or the conversations go something like, that's so sad that they're like that. They're so lost.
Or we've been a great example.
Don't turn out like your aunt and uncle, or, and it may not be like that. It may not. But I don't know. And I know I'm just putting my own thoughts and feelings on it. And I just got to let it go.
And that's the hard part too, is, and reading over the last 12 years, that's the hard part too, is that there's no dialogue. And all that's left is assuming on my part.
Sure.
Because nobody comes and says, hey, I think you're lost. Oh, really? Why you and create a dialogue?
Yeah.
I mean, I've had my small blips here and there, but never anything of real substance and like, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
I mean, because you want to say you believe in this religion, but I'm going to talk about something way bigger than this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go way deeper than I think a lot of the belief systems are capable of.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And then it makes me, and then I go to anger. This is where this lapse of, then I go to anger.
Fuck everybody. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Don't care.
That video of him slapping up John.
Well, and that's the thing, is I just get mad because it's like, this is the reason that we're not close is because of fucking religion. Is because I think, or you think that we're both wrong or whatever like that it's the wedge between us. It's the elephant in the room. It just makes me mad. It makes me mad that a religion can do that to families and to spouses
they're everybody's completely loving and accepting it, but also in the same breath, it is also isolating to sit at the table or to sit at a table and have everybody talking about this subject and biting my tongue and being like, yeah, you guys are morons. Like, how can you think like that? It's so judgmental, number one. It's so, like, that is everything that you say you're not.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus taught, judge not that you be not judged. And yet here people are wanting to be like, oh, well, you're lost. And it's like, don't worry about me. Like, why? But that's a judgment. But then you have
the 10 Commandments. And it's like, well, these are the commandments. And so they feel justified in just judging in those areas or whatever. And it's just like, drop it all. Burn the damn book. Let's start over.
Yeah.
And what are the new rules?
Let's start fresh. Yeah, the new rules are...
What are the new rules?
Mind your own business. And love them for who they are and accept them for who they are. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter. Nobody has the right answer.
Yeah.
I don't care how hard you want to pray and how much you convince yourself that it's right. You're not right.
Yeah.
You have to be open to change at all times, because change is the only constant in this universe.
Yeah. But even like I've heard this a lot growing up and stuff. It's kind of like, I much rather be safe than sorry. At least I lived a good life. At least I lived a really good life, and then I kind of covered my bases.
Well, and what is a good life? Not drinking, not smoking.
That is exactly what I mean. It's like you lived the good life with your judgment. Your judgment of the good life may not be right. But how can you say that that's the good life when
it's the only life you've ever experienced, number one.
And you don't think other people have good. You literally compare yours to others and say mine's better.
Well, at least we have the truth.
I don't know. But then I'm like, I guess I can't say that either, because I look at my life and think, well, mine's better, living on this side.
I love my life that I have the freedom to not be restrained or by all of these beliefs or things like that. Like, I have the freedom to choose.
Yeah.
And I'm conscious of my choices.
Well, and like I was reading something the other day, it's like, being a better person. Like, I guess they have a new Young Men's
slogan.
And I was reading it, and it's like, it is all good things. You're right. It is all great things to be a better person. And I know it says to love God and to devote yourself to God, which I'm like, that's silly to me. But it's hard to have a discussion about that when it's like, well, these are all good things. These are all promoting, healthy and honest and morals and chaste things. It's like, but you're also saying those are what is expected. You're also saying that this does make a good person. Yeah. And it's so to love hard. God makes you a good person. Yeah. And it's like, but what if I'm all these things and I don't love God? Does that make me not a good person then? You know what I mean? And that's...
Well, and it's so hard to not call people out.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been a part of this religion for 57% of my life right now, and when I sit here and I listen to somebody say, "Oh, that guy's a moron because he smokes or he does this or blah blah blah," and I just sit there and I think, and you go to church on Sunday and you profess to be a Jesus follower and not judge, and here you are completely just disgustingly judging this person because of something that he's doing, and yet here you are on Sunday saying, judge not that ye be not judged. Yeah. And in the same breath, you feel okay looking at someone else and saying, well, they're lost. Oh, they're lost, or I wish they only knew the truth. And how even that's a judgment. Yeah. And how honestly, being unjudgmental is really being open to all possibilities. Because even you saying that you have the truth, or that at least you'll be safe at the end of the day, it's still a judgment. It's still not being open to possibilities. Yeah. What if you have to kneel before Lucifer at the end? What if this whole thing is backwards and Lucifer is the one that you have to kneel to? And it's like, no. And it's like, you have to be open to all possibilities. And I just it's interesting because the masses feel one way, and so they feel okay justifying speaking such.
Yeah, but then I think like, well, maybe I judge because I think religion is not a good answer. So I guess that's a judgment in itself as well, And I just, it's just kind of a whirlwind for me where I'm just trying to find my balance of me being able to say how I feel and yet not offend people, but yet realizing I'm probably going to offend people because it's extremely not mainstream. And because, like I said, I'm a Comedy Central channel in the middle of a TLC circle.
Well, this one went ranty.
Yeah. Well, I didn't mean it to be ranty. No, it's been hard. It's been hard putting myself out there in a way I've never done before. I don't like criticism. Like I would try to avoid it at any cost. But, and I know I'm being criticized behind doors. I think I am.
I am assuming, yeah.
I'm assuming that.
It's easy to
assume. So as everything
such.
That we're saying, I'm like, I know it's towards me. It's the same rant towards myself. To not judge what other people might be thinking of me, to not judge people that do pick religion, and this is where this is also hard, because transitioning into this other side of life is hard.
Well, there is no wrong way to do life.
Right.
There isn't any wrong way to do life. If you want to do religion, do it absolutely. I don't care. And and it is a stepping stone, and it does promote good things. And if it works for you, do it. But do it genuinely. Make a conscious choice to do it. Don't do it because you were taught it. Mm-hmm. Don't do it because it's a tradition of your family. You don't sit here and preach to me about how true it is, and it's the truest thing ever, and Joseph Smith is the most correct book on the face of the earth, when in fact you have never done or sought out or went and found anything other.
You literally turn it off if you see anything anti. I mean,
if it doesn't agree with your beliefs, you say it's not true.
I was brought up. I remember I was in my boyfriend's sister's car one time, and I looked in her glove box, and she just had some papers in there, and he was like, "Don't read that." And I was like, "What is it?" He's like, "That's just anti-literature." But that's so crazy to me that
the true
that there's
history,
that there's a religion that's saying don't you dare look at anything else. I mean, that even alone to me blows my mind, because it's like, hey, listen, don't go looking, because you might find our
skeletons in the closet.
Yeah, because you might find some things that aren't so great, and
but you can't tell me that this is the most true religion on the face of the earth today when you've never studied Baha'i or Catholicism or anything else.
And that's the other thing that's really heartbreaking, because it's kind of like, when anybody gets baptized or gets, joins the church, it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, how beautiful. And like with some of my relatives, there's another side of the family that aren't members that are hurting because they have a family member that just joined a wrong religion in their eyes.
Yeah.
But yet my circle, they don't ever think twice, like, oh, that probably, this probably is a wrong decision. It's like, no, this is a right decision. I know it was probably hard to stand up to your family, and I know it was probably hard to be different. But when I do the opposite, it's like, no, you're wrong, and it's like, oh, these anxiety feelings probably because you're wrong. But the new member probably feels anxiety too, stepping out of.
They've had to tell
But they
people.
also get a congregation of support.
Yeah.
I don't have a congregation of support. I mean, now I do on my podcast, I guess, because they're listening. But
even and there might be plenty of people that, oh yeah, I've studied other religions. You have studied them, but you've never devoutly went to follow them and convinced yourself that they were real. So then when you prayed about it, you got the good feeling.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, it's just so interesting that, and that's where it all comes down to as well. You can't eat vanilla ice cream your whole life and say this is the best flavor ever made. This is the only flavor for me. I know that this flavor is the best, and everybody will like it. It's just like
coffee, okay, right? It's just like coffee, in my opinion. And you try it the first time, and it is super bitter. It is super not great. And I'm not saying just keep drinking it, you'll be fine. But it is true. You go to any other place around the world where you're not used to the cuisine or the food or whatever, and eventually you'll like it.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of how it is. Yes, you might try something different, but it's so uncomfortable trying something new that you just go back to your circle of comfort.
Right. What, you're eating vanilla ice cream, you eat some chocolate, and whoa.
Yeah, this is disgusting. Let me go back to vanilla.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm fine.
Yeah, and then you're going to go around telling everybody that this is the only bowl.
Because you tried chocolate once.
Yeah.
You tried chocolate once and you hated it. And I think that's even, and that's where I'm just saying it's like, I'm not telling people to go and eat chocolate for a year to see if they like it, but I kind of am.
Yeah, I am. You go try all of the flavors.
Yeah.
Go taste every flavor. Life is long enough that you got plenty of time to circle back around to the one that you want to find. And
then I just get baffled that some people literally just get stuck in the same circle of studying the same thing and then somebody else writes a book about the same book.
Seriously.
Or put some little twists on it, and they're like, oh, we just found out something really crazy new, and it's like, no, that's just the same. That's still vanilla. Now you just have some. Oh wow, we're almost done.
Yeah, that was going fast.
Yeah, that did go fast. But final thoughts. I don't know. This week has been hard. This was not what I was planning on talking about today. And I just hope that people can hear and see my heart through this and know what I'm about.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. My final thoughts. We love everybody, and we want people to be happy, and we want people to have joy. And sometimes we think we have joy, and yet when we experience something new,
Yeah.
when we step out of our comfort zone, we find a little bit different kind of joy. That it looks a little different, but it's so much more sweet.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
Bye, guys.
See you tomorrow.